worrying is somewhat of an illusion. It feels so much like, okay, I need to worry about this situation. In order to be okay to resolve it, I need to worry about this situation. Otherwise, how else am I going to figure it out, right? But what is really going on is that worrying is a strategy for managing how you feel and the feelings in your body without actually feeling how you feel. So it tries to bypass the feeling and resolve the feeling without actually going there. Another way of putting it is that worrying is a way to try and manage life, to stay in control. It's like trying to make sure that things turn out the way that you want to. It's going, okay, how can I make reality exactly how I want it to be? And it's continuously looping, going through that situation. And that's because there's a fear that, reality is going to be a particular way that might cause you pain. And so this is what the core of it is. This worry is an aversion to this potential pain, or maybe actual pain that you might be feeling of fear coming up already before anything's even happened. And the worry is jumping in to try to resolve that fear or that future pain without actually meeting it. And if you've been watching any of my videos, you'll know that I'm a big proponent of, to actually heal and feel better, to resolve the pain, we actually need to go towards the feelings and actually learn to meet them, have the capacity to feel our feelings, to feel the fear, to feel the shame, the anger, whatever is there. That's what actually, we feel it to heal it. That's what actually resolves things. And this is what's difficult about worrying, is it feels like I need to worry about this. But have you ever noticed that the worrying just keeps going and going and going? That you can lie in bed for hours worrying about something. Why is that? It's not a coincidence. It's not designed to resolve. It's designed to keep you, on the one hand, in this kind of continuous sense of being in control, which has to just keep going forever and ever, so you just got to keep staying in control. Or it's also designed to just keep you away from this potential pain. And so it's not actually looking for a resolution. It's looking just to keep worrying. That's what it wants to keep doing. It just wants to keep worrying so that you kind of remain distracted away from the pain that you feel. In this sense, it's kind of got a bit of an addictive quality to it. Just like an alcoholic needs to have a drink every day to feel okay. A warrior, so to speak, needs to kind of keep worrying in order to feel like this is what I need to be safe. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's deeply innocent, right? It's not something you're really doing on purpose. It's how you've learned to have to survive. But much like in the case of alcoholism, although a drink can help us relax in the short term and worrying feels kind of familiar and safe in a certain way, over the long term, it's a really exhausting way to live our lives. And what's really going on here is that the worry is stemming from something much older. It's not really about the situation in front of you. That's just a trigger for something far older in your past that's echoing into the present. So for example, say when you were a child, you were criticized by your parents. They didn't really praise you very much. And you got there was a sense of shame that built up. And you were always worried that they were going to criticize you. So there's a sense of shame and there's a fear of that shame coming to the surface. Because if you express that you were feeling shame, you just get criticized even more. Now, it's a horrible situation to be in, but it's something I think very common to many people. And to deal with that horrible situation, we learned to worry about how we're performing, for example. And then fast forward to the present day, you're at work, and you're worrying about the quality of your work and what's going to happen at the next meeting and if your boss or your team thinks you're good enough. And this worry has to keep going continuously because there's this older wound that can so easily be triggered back to the surface by this situation. And your mind is trying to cope with this to manage by just worrying about everything and being perfectionistic and having imposter syndrome and all these kinds of things. These are all just forms of worry. And this is what's really going on. And so we need to learn to meet those layers of fear and shame. That's at the root of those loops of worry. And that's what's going to help us, finally relax. Just like when you do a good piece of work at work, like maybe you feel better. Just, something in you relaxes. But we need to learn to bring that to bear, to let that happen, but without having to continuously do perfect work for the rest of your life, which is not going to be possible. We're going to be quite tiring. All right. So I'm going to go through a few steps with you of how you can start to safely drop into the body and meet those layers. So you might start just by getting present and bringing a bit of containment or safety to your experience. I've got a whole video on resourcing, and there'll be a new one actually coming soon that goes into detail on how to do that. So just search that on my channel. But you could just simply bring hands to one to the heart, one to the belly, for example. Excuse me. And maybe just starting to notice those sensations of the hand. This is helping just to get in touch with your body, with your present moment experience in a way that feels safe, because the whole issue with these feelings that are deep down is they can feel a bit unsafe. And that touch just communicates to your body that it's safe to be here. Maybe you sway a little bit gently side to side. And you can take as much time as you want doing this, or take whatever other practices you want. Now we need to get in touch with what the actual feeling is. So let's take this example of being at work. You kind of know you're worrying about work. We're going to trace these thoughts back to what the unmet need or emotion is. So I have this sense I'm worried that my boss is going to think my work's not good enough. Okay. Let that be true for a moment. Imagine that your boss does criticize you and say that's not good enough. What do you fear is going to happen? What's the worst that could happen, in fact, in this situation? You might think, well, the worst that happens, my whole team maybe thinks that what I've done isn't very good, and they don't want to work with me. It's like, okay, well, how would that feel if they said that? If that actually happened, not because it's going to happen, but just as an experiment to help us out here. How would that feel? You might be like, oh, I'd feel really lonely, and I'd feel really alone and lost and upset. And you might sort of explore, what's the emotion behind that? Or does that say anything about who you are? You might say, well, it means I'm not good enough. Oof, that might be it. I'm not good enough. And with that, maybe you feel some shame coming up in the body. It's like, okay, I believe I'm not good enough. And there's a feeling of shame. To see if you can imagine that situation. Okay, I'm not good enough. They're criticizing me. And noticing where that shame is coming up in the body. Maybe it's in the chest, right? You feel a heaviness, that painful heaviness that shame often manifests as. And seeing if you can put your attention there and really staying with the felt sense of the shame, with the sense I'm not good enough, the meaning of it as it's manifesting in your body. Oh, I'm not good enough. If you do notice a bit of resistance coming in, a bit of tension in the body, maybe just using your hands, bringing some support, breathing into that tension to help it to soften a little bit. And just allowing the shame to be as it is, as best as you're able. Letting yourself feel ashamed, sitting in the heart of it. And you can stay here again. I'm going to move through it a bit more quickly than I would ordinarily with someone, but you can pause and just take each step as it comes. Then you might want to just start to ask it a few questions. Like, if you had a voice, what would you say? To help you just connect to the shame even more. Maybe it says like, they hate me, or I'm not going to be okay. Maybe the sounds or more sensations that come. Just letting those words land, letting those words come up and be heard and land, letting them be acknowledged. Maybe you feel it wants to move in some way. Maybe that shame, it wants to contract and sort of go inwards. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh. Letting that movement happen too. So we're really letting the shame be felt. You're letting the shame express. You're letting the shame move. That's how we really allow these emotions. Noticing that, if you notice your mind jumping in to try to control, manage, analyze, fix. That's the protection trying to come in. It's okay. It's innocent. It's fine. But just ask that to just say, hold on a minute. It's all right. Give me a minute. I just want to be with this. You can fix and manage in 5 minutes. And then just really staying with that shame. It's really just letting go as a welcoming. To let go of this shame, we have to experience it fully. How it's felt, how it wants to express, how it wants to move. And then as you spend some time with it, a few minutes, you may notice it starts to soften a little bit. That's good. That's a sign it's being slowly processed. And then you can just take some time, maybe going back to the hands on the heart. and giving it space to integrate. If you want much more details, I have a lot more details in my video, How to Feel Your Feelings. So go check that one out. I also have a few videos on shame that you can go check out to work on that specifically. Though your worry may have different emotions underneath. There might be anger, there might be fear, there might be sadness. The same kind of principles apply. So hopefully that gives you a little primer on how to work with worry. And the key trick is, every time you notice the worrying is to just stop, just pause. Go, okay, I'm stuck in the loop. This is going to continue forever. And actually just to pause and notice what's going on in your body. See if you can drop into the emotion that's at the root. Ask yourself, what's this unmet need or emotion? And dropping into, resource it, support it, feel it, let it move and express. And this will feel scary at first, but you'll notice when you do that, the worry starts to soften. And actually it starts to fade. And what you were worried about, you just don't feel that sense of panic or unsafety around it. You might still have to act. You might still have to do the work at work in this example, but you won't feel that sense like, if I don't do this a particular way, the world's going to end. It's just a case of, I'm just going to do it, right? Or if you have to, any number of situations you might worry about, you don't actually, the key thing to realize is it feels like we need the worry, but you don't actually need the worry to act in the world. Say you're worried about who to invite and not to invite to your wedding, as an example. You can make those decisions without being in a survival state in your body. You can just sit down in a calm place where you feel safe and simply choose. I want to invite this person. I don't want to invite this person. If we can give space to those emotions that might come up connected to that. And so it's a case of, just try it out and see if you can prove to yourself that you don't need to worry. You can just meet the emotions and then take care of life without having to, continuously be in this survival state. I do work with people one-on-one, helping them with this kind of thing. So you can check out my work and get in touch with me below. I have many other videos on lots of these topics to do with emotions and so on. So check those out and see you later.